So we relax in, taking a breath or maybe several to allow ourselves to move into that meditative place. We're going to dim our stage lights for those who would like to see the screen. And if you'd like to close your eyes, you are welcome to do that as well. And so we breathe with no regimented cycle of inhale and exhale, but yet just we find that point of relaxation. As we breathe, we check in with our body. Where are our muscles tense? Where can we lean in a little and relax in a little and let something go? From our head to our toes, we take that meditative inventory. What am I being called to bring peace to in these few moments together? As we allow our body to just settle, we allow our thoughts to do the same. If any happen by while we're in this time of meditation, we don't fight that. Our mind thinks it's one of the things it's supposed to do. And so we just allow. We practice the art of allowing and the art of letting those concentric circles just keep moving outward. We watch them flow by and we allow them. We breathe relaxed. We thank our muscles for carrying the load and we tell them that they can just take a moment off. And we move into the space of Godness within us, that seat of the soul, wherever we feel that it is, in our heart, in our center, behind our shoulders, in our hands. We feel each space in our body radiating that center outward. Again, as in our daily word, we are moving peace and love from the center of us and our heart in concentric circles outward. Outward from us to the people sitting next to us, in front of us or behind us. Ever increasing circles of love radiating outward. That gentle, peaceful purpose. The knowing that God is here in every moment, in every breath, present with us and for us and as us in this world. And outward still it goes. When it reaches the walls of our sanctuary, we don't just stop it there, it goes right through. Outward into our grounds, into the homes and families around us, the animals, the plants, the air, the water, ever increasing circles of love that begin in each one of us. Peace that passes all understanding that begins in each one of us, radiating outward, bathing our county, our state, our country, every landmass on this earth, all the way around, bathing it in peace and love. Light abounding. Right from the center of me, outward to the center of all. Touching every heart. Whispering as it passes to every blade of grass, grow. Moving as it does all around our world, spreading love. From this unity center to every center of awareness on this planet and beyond. Love and peace, light and radiance, illumining amazing thoughts and possibilities, giving life to the activity of God, inspiring us as we move forward from this moment to bring unity to the world around us. And we just take a moment to allow that continual concentric circle expansion from us to allness, to everything. A moment to expand in the silence. And as we let that blanket of love and peace land, we breathe once again, bringing ourselves and our awareness back to this space, allowing that love to continue to flow, but knowing that we are safe in our own space as well. Coming and bringing our awareness to this opportunity for learning, for growth, for unity. We say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. So today's topic is peace, our Advent Sunday of Peace. And if you haven't gotten your Advent book, we still have a few up here on the stage. Please feel free to take one. And if we run out of them, let me know. I have some more in the back. So as our topic is peace, I simply cannot resist this opening. Peace be with you. I was wondering how many of us grew up with the kiss of peace. So many of us grew up with the kiss of peace. And it's a fascinating thing because I hear a lot of people that come to Unity that will say to me, "Oh, I'm a recovering Catholic." And I spent some time in the Catholic Church, and it was some of the most beautiful, steeped in tradition, amazing spiritual experiences that I have had were sitting in the church, in a Catholic church. I've also had amazing experiences in Quaker meeting places and in Native American drum circles and in Buddhist temples and wherever truth is, we can have that experience if we claim it. See, the thing is, and this is the thing with peace, you hear it all the time, all over the place. People, if only there was peace in the world, if only there was, and even the way we say it, look at that. Boy, that's peaceful, isn't it? You cannot create peace in the feeling of fight. How about the notion of fighting for peace? We go to war so that we might have peace? What a fascinating dynamic that is. See, war doesn't bring peace. It can bring a winner. It can sometimes free people who are being oppressed. or it can also bring yet another regime of non-peace. The peace doesn't come from fighting the war to free someone else. Peace comes from the declaration inside of us that there will be peace, that we will be peace, that we will be at peace. If we are waiting for world peace so that we might be peaceful, you're going to be waiting a really, really long time. Because the peace that passeth understanding that we hear about in the Bible does not come from outer circumstances. It comes from inside. This week when I was thinking about this talk and I was looking into our Advent book, which I'll talk on in just a minute, the story from the Bible of Jesus falling asleep in the boat while his disciples were being swamped and freaking out and thinking they were about to die. And he's on the cushions in the front, dozed out. And it's interesting because we have a lot of these stories of Jesus' life and Jesus' teachings in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And I'm not going to dive deep into Bible stuff with you today, but they were written at different times. One gospel was written before the other. Another was written as sort of a copy of that gospel. So there's all these different things that are happening. Again, if we have this notion that the Bible was a book that was all put together by God's divine hand and laid down on a mountain somewhere, in unity, in life, in practicality, we need to release that. Not in some weird way of thinking we have to control a narrative, but knowledge is power. And when we can know that the Old Testament or Hebrew Scriptures are 1,000 years older than the New Testament, that they were written by people to not just mark the lineage of all of the people of the Hebrew people, which, by the way, I don't know how many of us sitting in here today are Hebrew people, but that's what the Old Testament was for. It wasn't for people in the United States. The United States wasn't even a thought in anyone's mind. So the Old Testament was written to keep laws and lineages of the Hebrew people. The New Testament was written as a retelling of some of the stories and a telling of Jesus' life, but it was, again, written in pieces by different people over multiple hundred years and then compiled. The Bible is not a book. It's a collection of books. Yes, 66 books. And that's after the agendas of so many people took a bunch of them out. And that's after they were translated from a language that was never a written language into written language. And that was after it was retranslated into many different languages that didn't necessarily have the same words of equivalency. And. So can we... Okay. I need to do it a few more times. Can we do that? Yeah, around the peace grip that we have on our story or our grip on the Bible. Can we release and loosen that a little bit and make room for knowing that it's no less sacred and amazing and awesome in the fact that people wrote it as a tribute, moved and inspired by God? That doesn't diminish it to me. I hear people saying, oh, don't tell me how magic tricks are done because it ruins it. I'm still every bit as astounded. I can watch a close-up magic in front of me and have someone tell me how it's happening and be no less astounded that they can make it happen in front of me without me seeing what's happening. Let's leave room for wonder. The story of Jesus falling asleep in the boat is retold in all 4 Gospels. That's not the case with a bunch of Bible stories. You may or may not know that. But this was told in all 4. Now, John I say this and some people laugh and some people grimace at me, but John was the mystical gospel. So Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they held versions of Jesus that varied from Son of Man to a Messiah, from trying to make the things that were happening that Jesus was doing as practical as possible so people could learn from them, and trying to see them as mystically and miraculously as possible. And John is that. John is the Age of Aquarius version of the gospel. I've called it the hippie gospel, and people have been like, ugh! You know, it is. John is very mystical. John wanted to see Jesus as this beyond the physical being that could do miraculous things, and he wrote it that way. That gospel was written that way. So the story is retold. Matthew, Mark, and Luke all have it happening as Jesus was in the boat with his disciples. He fell asleep. The boat was getting swamped. They freaked out. They woke him up and said, "Ah!" And he said, "What is wrong with you? Don't you have any faith? Don't you know what the storm might be here for?" And then he spoke to the storm and said, "Peace, be still." And the storm was still. The version in John, Jesus wasn't with the disciples in the boat. Jesus was on the shore, and the disciples were out in the water being swamped and getting ready to be drowned, and Jesus just walked right on across to the boat and said, "Peace, be still, bless you." But in John's version, Jesus walked on the water to get to the boat in the first place. So what can these tell us about the stories? Like I said, I love this. I love how we have right in our faces the knowledge and the proof that things in the Bible were written by different people. Things in the Bible were written with different agendas, and things in the Bible were written through different interpretive lenses. Can't we take that and go, "Oh, how juicy is this? How many of us are here? How many of us are hearing different things coming out of my mouth right now?" If there are 80 people in this room and 20 people online, thank you, online viewers. Thank you so much for being with us. I don't know if you guys know that, but every Sunday when we're in here, there's about 20 more people online watching as we are here too. So we include them in our community and in our energy. But there's that many versions of what I'm saying today. Each person has their own interpretation. Instead of making that threatening, what if we say, "Wow, isn't that fascinating? It's like facets of a diamond, and each one of us is a different facet, and each one of us can bring something beautiful to what we learn in what we hear, and then share it with somebody else." Instead of saying, "That's not what it says. It's, no, I know how it's interpreted." No, we don't. We are reading something that came from a dead language, that by the time it was being translated, it was already a dead language, that was never meant to be written down, that was a spoken language passed from person to person, and it was a symbolic language. So it began as symbols, and people tried to hammer it into something concrete. I think the Gospel of Trish is that is where so much of our angst around the Bible comes from. It wasn't meant to be what so many people make it to be. It is this beautiful, sacred document, a tribute to Godness and the Christ presence in this world. Can't we just let it be that and not fight over it? It's a possibility. It's what we decide. But the thing with peace is, and that can be so challenging with peace is, we kind of wait for it. I don't know about you guys, but there have been so many times in my life where I've thought, "Oh, as soon as I get through this, I'll be able to have peace. As soon as I finish this, Then I'll be able to be peaceful. Or then I can prosper. Or then I can have love. Or then, oh, for heaven's sakes. That's it. What is happening is our laboratory, if you will. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's how we learn to be peace, is when something in front of us shows us something that's not peaceful. That's where we learn. This week I had a great opportunity. You know, I've never wanted to be a landlord. I was a landlord for a while, and someone trashed my house, and I ended up having to evict them, and I ended up having to sue them, and it was this horrible, nasty process for a long time. Never saw a penny of the money, ended up having to sell the house at a loss. So it was fun. I decided I didn't want to be a landlord again, and then I came here to Unity of Sebring, and I didn't want to sell my family home, and so my son is over there renting my family home from me, and it's wonderful, and they're doing such a great job, and he wants to take such good care of it and everything, and things happen, and it's a 30-year-old house, or almost a 40-year-old house, and things happen, and so last week he called, and this is after I had to do an emergency septic pump out a few months ago. Now, Palm Beach County prices and Highlands County prices, this is a great way to show you relativity and how we can hold things differently, because you might get an emergency pump out here in Highlands County for $600. In Palm Beach County, it will start at $1,200. And so I paid the emergency pump out price to have that fixed just a few months ago, and my son called and said, "Mom, the septic is running slow, I don't know what's going on." So this past week they came out and pumped it out again, and they said, "Your drain field is trashed. You need a new drain field." And so you go, me and my breathing. I always tell you guys, breathe. The first thing you do is breathe, not like this, but breathe. And find relax your shoulders and breathe. And so I thought, okay, and the man that was out there at the time, I said, "You have any idea how much this is going to cost?" And he said, "Probably somewhere around $1,800, $2,000. And I thought, that's wonderful. I would have thought that would have been so much more than that. So I had this moment of, I can do that. This is good. I can do that. And then they came out on Thursday, and they measured it out and priced it and sent me the $10,000 estimate. Hyperventilation, so, and I'm 2.5 hours away, and, so all of those things come into play, right? I only tell you this again. I tell on myself all the time, but I only do it hoping that you're going to go, "Oh yeah, that's like this situation for me." So I waited for the sheer panic, and it didn't come. And even in that moment, I thought, it's going to work. I'm going to figure out how this happens. If this is here, it's here for a reason. I knew it's a almost 40-year-old house. At some point, the drain field's going to go. I'm going to breathe with it. I'm going to call my son. We're going to talk. We're going to breathe. It's going to be okay. And we're going to figure out the path forward. So that was my opportunity to be peace this week, in a situation that I still don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know where the $10,000 is going to come from, or if I'm even going to maybe find some other solution that isn't going to cost $10,000. I don't know. But what I do know is that God is in every breath I take, and in every step I take, and in every situation that I face. God is already there. It's not like I have to catch up, and when it's over, then I can find God. God is in it. Don't forget that piece. Stop, drop, and roll, as we say. When you're on fire, don't keep running around with your head on fire. Stop, pause, drop your awareness into your sacred space within you, and roll your thoughts over to the higher power of God that is active in every moment of everything. Stop, drop, roll. And we can roll it over. Now, we move our feet. In unity, we're not the guy that's sitting on the top of the house with the flood waters rising and the boats coming by and people trying to get him off the roof and help him, and he just keeps saying, I've prayed, God will take care of it. Thank you, keep going, and another boat comes by and he said, I prayed, God's going to save me, so don't worry about it. And then he drowns. That is not the unity prayer. That is not new thought energy. That is not what we do. We are practical spirituality, practical Christianity. So we breathe knowing, we pray knowing and trusting and having faith, and then we move our feet. Our fifth unity principle is action. Principle 1, God is all. God is it. Everything that's happening is inside God. Principle 2, I am a part of that Godness. I am made in the image and likeness of Godness. Principle 3, I create my life by the thoughts that I hold long enough and strong enough. Principle 4, I connect to my source, my Godness, my awareness of God through prayer and meditation and pausing when I need to. And principle 5, I take inspired actions from the guidance I receive from knowing that God is all. I am a part of that Godness. I create by my thoughts, and I reach out to that spirit when I know I need it. It's very practical. It works. I'm here because it works. I know that I don't even remember, Tina and I have talked about it multiple times. I don't even remember how I got here. Val helped me find a house and a realtor and people to work on and all. I have memory of it, but it was such a blur. I walked on faith all the way here. That's it. We know that in those times when we aren't sure how the next step is going to happen, peace isn't out there in some elusive place waiting for us. Peace begins in here. If it doesn't begin in here, you'll never find it out there. Because life is going to continue offering us solutions and othering and problems and issues and conflict. That's what we're in, this laboratory of Godness. And we're invited again and again and again to lean on the principles that we know are at work, this universal law that is at work in everything that can't help but be outpictured. If you are saying, I want love, and acting unloving, you're not going to find it. We have to align from center to circumference, as it was in our daily word today. Everything happens from center to circumference. Now, I've said this before. That does not mean we go, it's all good. Everything's good. Oh, I have to have $10,000 for a septic field? Sure, that's great. No, it's not. It's just another thing that I am being called on to trust and demonstrate and move my feet and use my resources and move intelligently forward so that I can do what needs to be done and open into what will become because of it. It's practical. It's practical. Linda Martella-Whitsitt, who will actually be here, Linda Martella-Whitsitt was the head of Silent Unity for quite some time. She and her husband are now retired and living in Bradenton, I believe. So they're here in Florida now. And this Advent book, Linda wrote an article in the beginning of it that is beautiful. I thought it was interesting when I looked at our Advent book this year, and usually it's got some kind of fluffy name or sweet name about, savoring the season or something. And this year it was Be Not Afraid. Trigger alert. My gut went, why did they call it that? Why are we talking about fear right before Christmas? Why are we doing that? Honestly, that was where I first went when I saw this title. I thought, why? And then I thought, how many of us spend these holidays in angst and worry, whether it's about what's going to happen when we go see the family or how we're going to buy all the presents that we want to buy. That's a whole other thing. There's a documentary on Netflix you should watch, but no. What is this season about for us, and what are we doing in this season? Are we running around like our hair's on fire, trying to do the next thing on our to-do list? Or are we being present to the presence that is offered to us in this season? It's such a walk. It's not easy, but it's amazing if we will just do it. But Linda Martella-Whitsitt, she wrote an article here in the very front. And in the front of this book, there's multiple things about how we can step out of fear this holiday season. Sometimes we're in it, we don't even know we're in it. We are so brilliant at self-sabotaging that we can put ourselves in little tiny boxes with chains around our feet and the lid firmly pressing on our head and convince ourselves that we are there because it is safer and better for us. Or we can open to the possibilities that are happening out there and allow ourselves to stretch more than we think we can, to become more than we know we are in this moment. And you get there not by acting like nothing's happening and just faking it till you make it. You get there in the most beautiful way expressed by Linda Martella-Whitsitt, who she lived in an ashram for a while. And she had said, hold on a second, I want to see where I want to start. But there was a guru, and he was holding satsang, which is a gathering for disciples to chant, meditate, and receive a teaching lesson. So in the Q&A that followed the lesson, one of the students said, he asked for the guru's guidance on in the face of his terrible fear. He wasn't sure what to do, feeling confused about which spiritual practice would be right and which of the spiritual teachers he followed would lead him to the liberation he craved. See, we'll do that. We'll read all the books. We'll watch all the movies. We'll go to the Sunday talks, looking for the answer outside of ourselves to be landed on us. Actually, I shouldn't say us. I've done it. So it's me that I'm talking about, not any of you necessarily. But we do it. We look for that guidance outside. Not that it isn't wonderful and not that we can't find what we need, but then the transformation takes place in here, and we use it. Principle 5. But so he asked his guru, what to do. And she said, I was surprised by this person's question. Surely the answer was to stay on this path, joining with us in our shared practices. The guru, however, listened with dispassion. He paused. What he said next was underwhelming, and yet I remember it to this day. The guru's reply was, just do the next thing. See, we do that to ourselves so often. We set up these grandiose things that we feel we have to reach, when if we simply start our feet moving in faith, you have to just do the next thing in front of you before that grandiose stuff can fall into place. It's just the way it works. As Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King said, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. So it's funny because Linda goes on to say in here that most of her, or much of her journaling in the last of the time that she spent in that ashram was about doing the next thing, and how much we complicate life by putting all of these Herculean tasks in front of us. And she learned that she just needed to take the next step, and the rest would become apparent. So we don't have to accept the invitation to every freak out we receive. I've received so many invitations to freak out. I've received so many thoughts in my life that said, no, you can't do this, or who are you to do that? Or we don't have to. Let's be careful about what we are accepting into our field, into our world, into ourself. Because we are invited right now. There's this great, very salacious and very titillating invitation to everyone to fight with everyone of a different political party, or to divide from other people, or to make sure that that person knows they're wrong and you're right. That's an invitation. It's hanging out there. It's on most of the news channels. It's on the newspapers. It's in commercials. It's all over the place. Do we accept that invitation? I don't accept that invitation. And I have learned that no thank you is a very nice way to say, hell no. Sorry, I cussed again from the platform, but okay. You do not have to take part in these mass consciousness darknesses. It's people who will not look on the inside for what needs healing, puking it all over everybody else. We do not have to accept that invitation, because this world, my world, your world, our world, is created from the inside out. What I hold long enough and strong enough shows up in front of me for me to take part in. How I hold what shows up is going to mean everything to the life that I had. I could still be curled up in my bed in West Palm Beach, making my life work, because this was terrifying. I promise you, at the time that it happened, it was terrifying for me to come here. But isn't it amazing now? Aren't we happy to be able to walk together? So what is going on in your life right now that you are accepting an invitation to freak out about? That you are accepting at face value some limiting statement or some hurtful belief system? Where are you accepting it, and where can you say, no, thank you very much? Where? Especially in this holiday season. It's a time of letting go. It's a time of leaning into family and leaning on our support systems and cherishing the rebirth of the Christ within each one of us. That's what I'm accepting the invitation to this Advent season. How do I grow in my awareness of where God is present in my life? We're going to do, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to move on. So you're going to notice, Tina grins, you're going to notice some slight changes today in the rest of our slide presentation. We're doing a little bit of conscious wordsmithing. We are shifting a sacred prayer. Everybody breathe. We're moving into one of those who moved my cheese moments, if you've ever read the book. And we're giving an opportunity to all of us. See, this is the thing. When I came here and I first saw what you projected about your search affirmation, our now search affirmation, what I saw in how we share with people in our community, what I saw in how this community sings We Are All Friends Here every Sunday like it's the first time we've ever sang it. How everyone opens to the movement of unity of Sebring. I want to make sure it's reflected in what we're saying too. And so you're going to notice a couple shifts. I'm going to leave it at that. If you have a challenge with them, here I am. I did it. It's me. Please talk to me. Please don't do what I've had other congregations do, which is go talk to each other about how stupid they think Trish was for doing that, and never say a word to me about it. The buck stops here. I did it. If you love it, if you hate it, I'm right here. I want to know. And so it is. Be peace.
Thank you for joining us today. Please visit www.unityofsebring.org for more information, to submit a prayer request, or to donate to our ministry. We hope to see you again very soon.